This week's book, The Prince by Niccolo Machiavelli. Machiavelli was an advisor, and he dedicated this book to Prince Lorenzo of Italy back in 1513 as a gift to him, words of advice for a leader, a prince. And initially, I was interested in this book because Tupac, who I was a fan of growing up, was a huge fan of Machiavelli. So I gave it a read. And I gotta tell you what, this is the most ridiculous book I've ever read, by far. Not only are the advices archaic and inaccurate, it's just downright immoral. I mean, he gave some bad advice to the prince. I don't know how it turned out for Prince Lorenzo, but I never heard of him. I'll share some of the advices that Machiavelli gave Prince Lorenzo. Whoever is the cause of another becoming powerful has ruined himself. So don't help anybody. A man who wishes to make a profession of goodness in everything must necessarily come to grief among so many who are not good. Therefore, it is necessary for a prince who wishes to maintain himself to learn how not to be good. Because people are bad, you better be bad. That's what it's saying. A prince, therefore, must not mind incurring the charges of cruelty for the purpose of keeping his subject united and confident. In order to have power over your people, make sure to be cruel. One ought to be both feared and loved, but as it is difficult for the two to go together, it is much safer to be feared than loved. Oh, here's an interesting one. It is well to seem pious, faithful, humane, religious, sincere, but you must have the mind so that when it is needful to be otherwise, you may be able to change to the opposite qualities. Prince should not let the carrying out of unpopular duties devolve on others. In other words, let others do the dirty work. I mean, I'm not sure what this guy was thinking, but if he was still alive, I want to sit down and have a chat with him. Hey, bro, what were you thinking when you wrote these? I mean, these ideas are complete opposite of the leadership qualities that I learned from other philosophers and leaders. And I'm not just talking about modern philosophers, even like the Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius speak of a lot of the virtues of human relations and leadership. That's not even close to these, what is this like garbage, right? I'm just really concerned that this book is still in circulation and people are actually reading this thinking that this is the way to lead people. I mean, can you imagine if all the leaders adhere to these principles? I mean, the book is just garbage. Maybe I'm being a little arrogant and I don't quite understand the depth of what the author is saying, but I really couldn't agree with any of the ideas that he was saying. I mean, there's some things like, one of the things that I may agree with is that, he's saying, he thinks it's better to be impetuous than cautious. If one wishes to conquer fate, she lets herself be overcome by these, then who proceed coldly. So, yeah, that makes sense. But I would say like 95% of this book is just bad advice. And I'm just really surprised that this is considered classic and a lot of people are reading it. If you have different thoughts on this book, I would love to hear your opinions.